so let's talk about square root. So first thing is, you've seen me do this before. We did a little bit of square root stuff first semester. We're going to make sure we've got this. In addition to us doing this with polynomials, we're going to also do a lot of this when we do trig. Okay. Like so much of it, it's ridiculous. Okay. So we have to be very familiar with square roots. So when we have a square root, we split it into two boxes. Okay. This is what I call the can do box. And this is what I can't do box. Okay. So this has to be some kind of a square number or term. Okay. And this is non-squares, basically. So I can take the square root of it, or I can't take the square root of it. Okay. So in addition to us doing this with numbers, we're going to start with numbers, and then we're going to move on to the fact that we can use variables in here. Okay. So we're going to make sure that we understand how to do that part. All right. So I am going to go down my square numbers list. Okay. So the square numbers lists are on either side of the room. Okay. The middle column where it says square, those are your square numbers. So that's what we want to be putting in that first box. I'm looking to see if one of those divides 18. So I go down the list. I skip one. Notice one is crossed out because one divides everything. It's useless in this concept. Okay. All right. Does 4 divide 18? Yes or no? 4 divide 18. No? Okay, I'm seeing head shaking. So we're going to skip 4. If you need to, for arithmetic purposes, if you need to open up a Desmos tab, go ahead and do that. I don't know what's going on. Go ahead and open a Desmos tab for arithmetic purposes. That's okay. All right. All right. Does 9, and 9's our next score number, does 9 divide 18? How many times? Twice. Okay. I forgot. I should have really written something. This is the biggest square number / term goes there. Okay. I really want it to be the biggest one. It'll make sense when we do 72. Okay. There's nothing else that's going to divide into the 2 that's a square number, so I'm as big as I'm going to get. All right. What's the square root of 9? 3. That's an operation. Once we do addition and subtraction, the sign goes away, right? Once we do multiplication, division, the sign goes away. That's an operation. Square rooting is an operation. I did the square root. I do not write the sign over the top. And then this I'm not going to. I purposely set that up so I couldn't take the square root of it. So I just write down square root of 2. So there should be, in theory, a radical left in your answer. Not all of them. I made a Delta math assignment for those of you that want to practice this, and some of them are perfect squares. So they'll just have no radical at the end. All right, let's talk about 72. Okay. So I'm going to go down my list. Okay. And again, there's absolutely no shame in let's get out a Desmos tab. Okay. Use our little calculator. The one I happen to pull was the graphing. If you search Desmos Scientific or Desmos for function, those will come up as well. All right, so we've got 72. I'm going to go down my list. I'm going to divide by 4. Ooh, it came up. It worked. But remember, I'm looking for the biggest square number. Technically, it does an 18 divided by, we know that another square number goes into that, right? So I'm going to try to keep getting bigger until I can't get any bigger anymore, okay? So let's see, 9's the next thing on my list. So it says 9 goes in there 8 times. And that's usually the one people pick for this one, but it's not right. Because 8's still divisible by a square number, okay? 8's divisible by 4, right? All right, so I'm going to keep going. 16. Did 16 work nicely? No. See how I got a decimal point? That means it's not a candidate, okay? But I still think I can do better than 9 and 4, all right? I'm going to go to my next one. My next one on my list is 25. Did 25 work out? No. All I'm doing is just trial and error. Okay, my next one's 36. Is 36 working out? Ooh, that one looks really good. And we got a 2. There's no square number that divides that 2. So I'm going to use 36 and 2. All right. What's the square root of 36? 6 square root of 2. Okay, so I take the square root, the symbol goes away. No, I leave that, and that symbol stays on the second one because I can't take the square root of it. Okay, I want you to take like 2 minutes and try 3 and 4. So everybody's going to try number 3 and number 4 on your own. See if you can get those simplified. Remember, you're looking for the biggest square number. It's okay to use the signs on either side of the room. Make sure you're trying it. Got another 30 to 45 seconds. Okay, let's check them out. So I've got 24. I'm going to do my can and can't do box. So the biggest square number that can divide, that is a square number that can divide 24. All right, so did 4 work? How many times? 6. Is there any square number that divides 6? Just basically just 4 going. 4 doesn't go into 6, so that's it, right? That one was nice. What's the square root of 4? 2. Square root of 6. Okay. All right. Can and can't do box on this one. Biggest square number that divides 75. So does 4 divide 75? No, does 9? Does 16? You see how I go down the list every time? Does 25? Yeah, how many times? 3. You hit a 2 or a 3 here, you're pretty good, right? All right, what's the square root of 25? It should be 5, no radical over the top, square root of 3. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add in variables, okay? You should have, in theory, seen this in Algebra 1. I don't know if you did or you didn't, but that was a long time ago, right? Technically, what we call this little thing out here is the index, okay? And in our case, it's assumed to be 2 if there's nothing there, okay? Next week, we're going to do this same thing, but we're going to do cube roots. That's the Algebra 2 twist to it, okay? So when we're taking a square root of a variable, so to take square root of variable, divide by index. So it doesn't matter if that's a squared or square root, a cube root, a fourth root, a fifth root, whatever's in this index out here. And remember, if there's nothing there, we assume it's 2. You divide by 2. So we're looking for even exponents to go in our can-do box. Okay, so let's divide this up a little bit. I'm going to deal with my number first. Okay, so I'm going to go down my squares list. Does 4 divide 12? Yeah, how many times? 3. So that's got to be our biggest, right? Now I'm going to pull my highest even exponent I can. Okay, highest even exponent for x to the 4th would be x to the 4th. There are no leftovers over here, right? Because it was an even exponent to begin with. Okay. The highest even exponent I can pull out of y cubed would be y squared, and my leftovers would be 1, because remember, we're going to subtract our exponents. Okay, so these two numbers should add up to this number right here. Okay, all right, so I can take the square root of this. I can't take the square root of that. All right, what's the square root of 4? 2, and then I'm going to divide by 2 because that's my index. So what's 4 divided by 2? 2. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. So I would just write y, okay, and then square root of 3y. And the answer looks a little crazy, but that's the way they're supposed to look, okay? And I'm not worried right now about, like, sometimes you'll hit a problem where they do other stuff out in front. We're not going to deal with that yet. We're just going to do what is in just simplifying one alone. Okay. All right, let's try it again together. No, those are for the other classes. Yeah. All right. It's can and can't do box. Okay. So I'm looking for the biggest square number that divides 27. All right. So I'm going to go down my list. Does 4 divide 27? No. Does 9 divide 27? How many times? 3. Okay. I'm looking for the highest even exponent, and my leftovers are going to go in the can't do box. Okay. So what's the biggest even number that's 4. Good. I don't know why I can't say this morning. What would be left over? 1. It's always going to be 1, isn't it? Because the number before it is always going to be the even number, right? So it's only ever going to be exponents of 1 back here, okay, for square roots, okay? All right, for y to the 7th, what do I get pulled up? 6 and y left over. All right, let's take the square root of our can do box. So what's the square root of 9? 3. We're dividing by what number? We're dividing by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Be careful the way you write this. You don't want it to look like you turn that into a cube root. If you wrote this too close, it's hard to tell if you're meaning y cubed or cubed root of something, okay? So it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of space in there, okay? All right, let's try one more together. Everybody got it? Okay. All right, I think there's a second page to it, right? There we go. Okay, let's take a look at this one. All right, can and can't do boxes again. All right. We're looking for the biggest square number that divides 125. So does 4 divide it? 9 divide it? Maybe? Does 16 divide it? 25 divides it? How many times does 25 divide it? 5. Shouldn't that be obvious from that? If we're working in quarters is easy, right? If we think about money, right? Although you all use digital money now probably, but think about quarters, it's really easy, right? So 25s. It definitely goes in there. Okay. What am I going to pull out for the x's? X to the what? 6. I get to keep all of it goes, right? Nothing goes in the can't do box. I get to keep all of it in the can do box. All right, what about for the y's? 4, and then what's left over? 1, so just y. Okay. All right, what's the square root of 25? 5, and we're dividing these by what? 2. So x to the 3rd, y to the 2nd, square root of 5y. Okay, I want you to try 8 on your own really quick, and then we're going to switch over to our actual lesson for the day. We'll have our review algebra 1 lesson for the day. Everybody take a minute, try it. Okay, take a couple of seconds and check it with your table partner. Okay, you haven't talked to your table partner yet today. Take a couple seconds and check your answer with them. All right, what was the biggest square number that went into 40? 4. How many times? 10. Okay. For the x's, what'd you pull out in the can do box? X squared, what's left over? 1. Okay, and then for the y's, what'd you pull out? Y to the 8th, anything left over? No. All right, we're going to take our square root. What's the square root of 4? 2. What do we have to divide these exponents by? 2. So x to the, just x, okay, and y to the 4th square root of 10x. Okay? All right, that's all we're going to do on that today. We're going to keep working on it tomorrow and the next day. Okay, and then we're going to do a little one-question quiz on Friday. It'll only be one question this week. Okay? All right, and we'll keep it on Friday. Okay, let's take a look at, we're going to switch over to our other notes. So we started these notes on Friday. Okay? If you were on paper, you only had half of it. I didn't print the second page. The second page is back here if you're on paper and you need that. Okay. So we should be right here. Review. I want you to read the second essential question and I can statement to yourself, please. Okay.